Alright, we're doing a review for the Doctor Who special that took place this past Saturday.
Yep.
Even though we're doing this 2 days later.
Yep.
Because we couldn't get around to it until now, so.
Yep, it was really good.
So the special is called The Day of the Doctor. And I guess we'll start off with the story. It begins with his current companion,
yep,
being a school teacher. And she gets a message from her doctor.
Yep.
And she goes off and rides her motorcycle into the TARDIS.
Yeah, I remember that part.
And meanwhile, the doctor is reading a book. They hug, and all of a sudden the TARDIS is lifted. But it's not flying.
Yep.
And the next shot is the TARDIS being helicoptered. And then he gets a phone call, or... Oh, no, he makes a call to somebody in charge of I guess a special unit.
Yep.
Isn't that what it's called?
Unit.
UNIT? Yeah.
Yep, unit.
I forgot what the letters stand for. And then, yeah. And then the actual intro begins with him hanging from the bottom of the TARDIS.
Yep.
Might as well have him sing Geronimo!
Pretty much.
And then he lands, and then he gets a little note that was actually stamped from Queen Elizabeth I.
Do we really want to tell him too much?
This is a review, so we're kind of going to go into this special anyway, so we're going to be doing spoilers.
Some people haven't seen it either, though.
Well,
just saying.
It's 2 days after, so technically yesterday, or is it today?
Today.
Today, they're showing The Day of the Doctor in movie theaters.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
But not around here, unfortunately, probably.
Yeah, unfortunately, this area has a bit of a habit of not getting good movies in the theaters.
Yeah, no crap.
I mean, the only time that they do is like the major ones, like... Oh crap, my mind went blank.
Well, when you had your Batman 3 thing.
Actually, that's the problem, is that was the only like marathon / trilogy that they did.
And
they won't do any other good ones. The last one they did was for Twilight.
Too bad once they have a third one, they won't do the Hobbit movie.
According to them, it depends on how well it does in this area, so
yeah,
we know how bad that could be.
Yep.
So, the Doctor actually arrives at a museum. And he gets a little note from that actually is handed to him that was made from Queen Elizabeth I. And then we go to a flashback.
Yeah.
Okay, it starts off with the Matt Smith Doctor, the 11th Doctor, and then the flashback goes into the David Tennant 10th Doctor.
Yep.
And then in that flashback we go into Tennant and apparently Queen Elizabeth I riding a horse out of the TARDIS.
Yep. And
then they have a picnic.
Yeah, additionally they have that.
And originally, I guess the reason David Tennant met with Queen Elizabeth is because he was tracking down a shape-shifting alien.
And later on they get married, which is weird.
Yeah, we'll get around to that, but
yeah.
I think the way he described the alien to those who are watching this, sorry if we don't remember the name of the alien species, but I think he described it as some creature with suction cups. Stuff like that.
The Zygons?
Yeah, well, I guess that's it.
Yep.
And then he accuses Queen Elizabeth of being the shapeshifter, and then he turns around and the horse was the shapeshifter.
Yep.
So obviously, Tennant's Doctor has a bit of confusion identifying shapeshifters. So then they run away, they get chased away.
Eventually they get married.
We're getting to it.
Yeah, I know.
We're getting to it.
I'm trying to mess with you anyway.
And then they get married. Okay. And then eventually in the woods, David Tennant's Doctor finds not one, but 2 Queen Elizabeths.
Yep. And then he says he knows which one is which because one of them wouldn't give away the plan or whatever that's going on.
Yeah. And then apparently there's a rip in time that happens.
Yep.
And then a fez comes out.
Yep.
Now we flash forward.
Yep.
I think we flash forward.
I think so.
We either flash forward or we flash back further. Because no, we do go back further to the warrior doctor.
Yeah.
The warrior doctor. This one it goes actually back to Gallifrey, if I said that right.
Gallifrey.
Back to apparently when the Time War is still going on.
Yep.
And the doctor grabs a soldier's weapon and starts shooting 2 words into one of the walls. No more.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, the doctor in his TARDIS breaks through a wall, knocks down a few Daleks. Daleks. And then it helps one of the soldiers take out a few of them. And then apparently the doctor reappears in the Gallifrey's, I guess, armory or something. And then he apparently takes something that's called the Moment. And then we flash to him on this desert planet world where he's like walking far, far away from his TARDIS.
Yep.
And then he kind of sits the square thing, and then we see what we think is Rose.
Yeah. And she's acting very weird.
Yeah.
The whole time.
First, she shows up sitting on the Moment device, and then he tries to toss her out.
It just makes me think about when she looked into the TARDIS, is what it makes me think of, because she was acting really weird.
Yeah.
Really weird.
And then John... It is John Hurt, right?
Yeah.
John Hurt. And then he escorts her out of the building compound, whatever thing he's in. He turns around and she's sitting back on the device again.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, this isn't really Rose. This has to be Bad Wolf.
Else. Yep.
So then he goes into how, how, I guess, depressed, conflicted he is about wanting and having to do this and trying to figure out how to work this device.
Yep.
And then we see another riff in time.
Yep.
And out comes another Fez.
Yeah.
And so we go back to Matt Smith's present.
Yep.
And before they actually went to the first flashback, we saw, I guess a 3D picture that's actually called Gallifrey Falls.
Yep. I remember that.
And apparently it also has a second name called No More. So then the doctor asks the person that gives him the little Elizabeth I thing. It's like, okay, what's the real reason you sent me here? And then she sends him off, and apparently there's these pictures that have broken glass.
Yeah.
Like if something broke out of the pictures.
Yep. I remember that.
And then apparently there were some images missing. Now apparently on the way to these pictures, apparently there was a lot of sand or something on the floor. Where there was apparently statues. Now we'll get back to that. So he sees the statues, he notices something missing, and then the present time has the time rip.
Yep.
Now before he got into this painting room, Matt Smith's doctor has a thing for Fez.
Yeah.
Or Fezes.
Yeah.
And he found one under a glass box. So he picked it up, it's like... And his companion's like, can you ever just walk away from a Fez? He's like, no, never. So the rip in time happens. He's like, ooh, I've seen this before. I think I remember it. Barely. He's like, oh, this is where I come in. And then he jumps through.
Yep.
And next thing you know, 11th and 10th Doctor are face to face.
Yep.
Have a sonic screwdriver face off.
Yep. I remember that too.
And next thing we know, the Warrior Doctor falls in. And we see, I guess, the Queen's Royal Guard show up. And then the actual doctors pull out the sonic screwdrivers trying to aim. It's like, those aren't guns. Put them away.
Yeah. Won't do any good.
So then apparently what appears to be a Queen Elizabeth shows up, acting like the fake one.
Yeah.
And has them sent to the tower for their, I guess, getting arrested and stuff.
Yeah.
Which apparently this vortex of time is also opened up to the present time, so his present companion hears what's going on, and apparently this person in charge of the unit, whatever it is, knows about the Tower of London, I guess. Yeah, it's in London, people. It's in London. So they go to the Tower of London, and apparently in the present time it's actually fortified so that the TARDIS couldn't get in. Which was a big mistake. And in the past time, all three doctors are locked in there. Well, what looked to be locked.
Yeah.
And then you got Matt Smith's doctor trying to put in coordinates on one of the, I guess, pillars. And meanwhile, the older doctor is trying to evaluate how to get out of the prison. And next thing you know, they start arguing. It's like, how many children were on Gallifrey? It's like, the present doctor's like, I don't know. But the 10th one remembered. And then that started the argument. And then next thing you know, they figure out one way to break out, and then Clara, the present companion, comes walking in. Because apparently she got a time-traveling device from the present until these, the shapeshifters actually revealed themselves in the present. Which case they were actually looking for the apparent time device. So then Claire's in the future, and then in comes the Queen Elizabeth. Not Matt. David Tennant's doctor again accuses her of being the shapeshifter, when the fact is, she's not.
Yep.
And they get revealed how the shapeshifters actually get transported into the pictures, and then the pictures get saved until, I guess, the future times and stuff. So that happens, and then Queen Elizabeth brings up one little thing that the doctor promised. Then they get married.
Yeah, then they get married.
And then everyone runs into the 10th Doctor's TARDIS, and then the TARDIS inside changes a few times. And they go into the whole, ooh, look, the circles. We love the circles. Because it looks more like the classic style. And then it changes into the current one.
Yeah.
In which case David Tennant's like, oh, you changed the background. I hate it. And then they find out that they're in the Tower of London in the present, which you can't get into. So the Warrior Doctor's like, maybe we could go in another way. And then they have one of these devices that were used to transport the creatures into the painting. So somehow the Gallifrey Falls ends up getting into the Tower of London. And then the three doctors, along with the companion, end up going into the Gallifrey Falls painting, which might not have been a good idea.
No.
It might have brought back some bad memories for them. Because originally, in this time and space, the Doctor had to more or less kill everyone on the planet. So they get into the painting. They use their sonic screwdrivers.
Yeah, you got it.
On a Dalek, break through the window. It looks like a window they're breaking through. And then they, all three, walk out into like a nice profile picture that they could make. Which they probably have. Which actually, I might have sent you one of them.
Yep.
Maybe. I've sent you so many of them from the Doctor. Or
Yep.
the day of the Doctor.
I put all of that.
And then from there, they talk to both the doppelgangers and the original. It's like, you know what? Actually, the problem here is that both the double-gangers and the original set off a nuclear bomb timer in the Tower of London. And then the two doctors try to convince the shapeshifters and the originals to make a peace treaty because they don't want to see more people burn, which is apparently what happened originally with the Gallifrey. And then the warrior doctor, who was in this present, talked to Claire a little bit more, and then all of a sudden he disappears. And next thing you know, the John Hurt doctor, Hurt,
You're right.
is back in his building with the actual moment device ready.
Yeah.
Because apparently he said this in the first scene that he's like, why can't I just get a red button? And now you got a shiny red button ready to push. And since Rose's bad wolf is there, she explains to him, you know, it's like, do you remember the sound the TARDIS makes? Because that's a sound that gives hope to everyone, even to those who's lost, like yourself. And next thing you know, you hear a TARDIS.
Yeah.
The two TARDISes show up. I couldn't stand sitting there anymore. But the two TARDISes show up behind her. The two doctors come out, and they realize this is the moment in time where
David has to go.
No.
Well, no, it's later on that happens. Yeah.
But this is the moment where the warrior doctor decides to kill off Gallifrey. And then they all decide if they're going to do it, they were going to do it together. And then his present companion was like shaking her head. It's like, no, this is not how it should be. Because she knows the torment the doctor has from this decision. So she tries, you know, her sad face is like,
Yeah.
it's like, there's got to be another way. And then actually, the Bad Wolf person, or Rose Bad Wolf, gives them an actual view of Gallifrey, I guess, while the war is happening, and also shows the war being over, and showing all the survivors, and everyone kind of like reuniting. And it's like, then the Matt Smith doctor's like, you know what? I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
Shuts off the moment. It's like, you know what the difference between now and then is? There's three of us. So then they kind of figure, they remember the technology that was used to put people into paintings. It's like, what if we do that with a planet? Now, able to do that with a planet. The planet disappears for a second, and all the Daleks' ships will be shooting at each other. But there's only three of them at the time. So then, you know, they're like, you know what, let's go ahead and do this. And then another flashback to Gallifrey. Flashback. Forward, back, all kinds of flashbacks. So flashback to Gallifrey, where they're getting a message from a doctor. So there's a video image that shows up of one doctor. It's like, hello. Another message, hello, doctor here. Another message, hello, doctor. So 3 doctors show up on the video message right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, we got an idea that could save the planet. It's like, meanwhile, the Emperor or whoever this general is like, are you crazy? Even the possibility of that is
Impossible.
impossible.
Yeah.
And it's like, we know the ramifications of the other choices. We've seen it. We've had years to remember it. So then, not only do 3 doctors show up, then some of the other doctors start showing up. You got the 7th, the 8th, the 9th. And at one point, the commanders and generals are like, all 12 are here. It's like, another one goes, no, 13.
Yep.
And then we get a teaser of the new doctor.
Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I do mean teaser because all you see is like a hand moving something and his
part of his face.
yeah, it's like the upper areas eyes and stuff. So, for those of you who don't know who he is, I guess in the previous roles that he's played in the series, he's done nothing but swearing. So, I wonder if we'll be getting like a swearing doctor.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So then all the doctors get around Gallifrey, and next thing we know, explosion happens, and we see metal parts flying through space. And then flash forward to the present, where we have the 3 doctors looking at the Gallifrey Falls picture. And then the old doctor is like, glad to have met you two.
Gotta go.
Hopefully I'll end up being as great of a doctor as you. Shakes Claire's hand. It's like, which one's mine?
Yeah.
And then, this one. And then walks into a TARDIS that is...
next to the other TARDIS.
And that looks like it's worn from a war.
Yeah.
So he goes into his, and then...
disappears.
That disappears, and then David Tennant's like, okay, what do you have... What are you hiding from me? What do you know that I don't know? And then he tells him the whole thing about, when the 11th Doctor falls, you'll be in... what place was it? Terra something. But apparently when Silence falls, the 11th Doctor falls, and you'll be in Terra Long or something like that. And he's like... when David Tennant's doctor goes into TARDIS, is like, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
We need to find someplace else to meet. Because I don't want to go. Then he goes into his, disappears. And then, you got Claire, the prison companion, with the doctor. And then it's like, Claire lets the doctor alone with the painting. And then, previously, when the doctor read the note that Queen Elizabeth I gave him, it was like, if anything happens, I want you to be the curator of the museum. Now, this is what happened in the beginning.
I would be a good curator.
Yeah.
Yada yada.
Yeah, and that's like, I could be the great curator.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden we hear a familiar voice.
Yep.
And then we see the back of some older person who...
No. Not saying.
We only see the backside of him first. It's like, and then we see Matt looking at him and was like, I recognize that face. And then camera's on him. Tom Baker. So in a way, the fourth Doctor ends up showing up in the 50th anniversary.
Yep.
So Tom Baker goes around. It's like, yes, I got this painting under unusual circumstances.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, thanks.
And then he asks the 11th Doctor, what do you think of the title of it? And then he's like, I don't know. There's 2 different titles. There's Gallifrey Falls and No More. And it's like, no, there's one. Gallifrey Falls, no more.
Yep.
He's like, then we succeeded. Gallifrey's still out there. And then he's like, well, if I was you, and then they both laugh at that part. He's like, if I was you, I'd be looking for it. And then he's like, where? Where do I look? It's like, I do not know. Who knows? Who knows? And then he takes off. And then we have a little thing with the doctor about, Claire asking him if he ever dreams. And apparently now the doctor has a new mission to try and find his home again.
Yep.
So then we get the ending scene of him standing with a rows of the previous doctors,
yep,
looking up at the planet Gallifrey.
And then turning back around. That too.
Yeah.
And that's how it ended.
Yeah. And so that was the major story. So sorry people, spoilers.
Yeah, we should have warned them at the beginning.
Yeah, I'll probably post it and re-edit it. But so how do you think the story was for the
Good.
50th anniversary?
I liked it.
Because I enjoyed it, and apparently a lot of people hated it for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I'm reading a lot of people hated it because apparently they were expecting more physical doctors. not just like video clips that they did with the Doctor showing up for Gallifrey.
Yeah, I understand that. I
But,
guess.
you know, the one thing people gotta understand, even the guy who played the Ninth Doctor
Yep.
doesn't want to be involved with Doctor Who anymore. Even though it has made him famous.
Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. Christopher
Eccleston.
yeah. Who has done lots of good movies.
Yeah, and was in the Thor movie.
Yes, he was in the Thor movie, although people probably don't really recognize him in the Thor
It's
movie.
hard to tell that he's in it, yeah.
Of course, we're not going to spoil that for you. We might let somebody else say that for you to figure out.
The only thing I'll say is that it's a really good movie. And it is.
But, yeah, the story itself was great.
So people really didn't like it, huh?
I don't know why.
Is that the only reason they keep saying, or is there...
I hear it a lot of times, but it's probably not the only one. Probably because of the person who wrote the script and stuff. But
Jeez.
so then, how about for the effects? What do you think about the effects?
They were cool.
They were cool, but it probably looks better with the real 3D and IMAX stuff that's going to happen in the movie theaters.
Yeah, we don't get to see, but...
Yeah. Because when you first see, I guess, the shot into the picture, because apparently the picture is made by apparently Time Lord paint or something, which weird. So the story was awesome, the effects were awesome, and that about covers it.
In general, it was really good.
Yeah, it was great. It was 50th anniversary for the Doctor Who, because apparently the Doctor Who episodes first started 50 years ago.
Yep.
Even though there was a
60s.
Even though there was like a 20 to 30 year space there where there was no Doctor Who whatsoever. So
I think it was 63. I think
63 where they started with William Hartnell as the first Doctor. And if you want to know more about the first Doctor, BBC did do a little movie special called An Adventure in Space and Time, where they actually casted the Harry Potter, I want to say janitor.
and he looked pretty good too.
Yeah.
For it.
They actually had him look excellent, almost exactly like the first
William
Doctor.
Hartnell, yeah.
And of course, getting into how he became sick and couldn't continue anymore. But I think we might save that for another time if we
Make another one.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So that's about it for this review. Now, I don't know.
Maybe we should do one when Peter starts.
We could do one when the new Doctor starts, or we could go back and do a review on the very first episode.
Well, you can
Maybe.
do whatever you want. Get
Yeah.
a couple. It doesn't matter.
Then again, we could just let it up to the people who watch this. You know, it's like let the fans decide, and then we'll figure out later. You know, should we go back to the very first Doctor Who episode, or should we maybe just try and do the specials, or maybe even the TV movie that they did?
Too bad we can't make a poll.
Huh? I mean, you know, we could figure out, you know, if people actually post in the comments below what they want to see, if they want to see it. Otherwise, we could probably just decide one later. And in case you're wondering what we're trying to wear, Stella here is dressed like the 10th Doctor, along with sneakers, or Converse sneakers, suit, tie, sonic screwdriver.
Uh-huh. Right there.
And I got a weird combination of 11th and 10th, but more with a holiday spin.
Yep.
Bow tie, trench, suit, and if you could see it,
Sneakers.
sneakers!
Don't roll over.
Yeah. So, that was our little review on the Day of the Doctor.
Yep.
And like I've said, if you want to see future reviews, leave a comment below.
And we'll do them.
And we'll try and give it a shot. And hopefully not, well, if we do like the first one, it won't be days later, it'll be more like 50 years later. So, until then, see ya.